Hey everybody, Mr. Regan here, and today we're going to be looking at using our vocabulary and key concepts to help us answer some questions that require us to apply them to some unique situations in our simulator. The simulator we're looking at today has three objects, object A, B, and C, and in our simulation we are on the Analyze page, and if you notice, our objects are not moving. Each of our objects had an initial start velocity as follows. Object A was moving at a velocity of -1. B was moving at a velocity of -2, and object C was moving at a velocity of -3. Each one of these objects had a force applied to them at the same time, which caused each of them to stop moving. As you see, their current velocity is 0. So each of their velocities changed. Velocity of object A changed from -1 to 0, and it changed by a velocity of 1. B, 2 to 0, changed by a velocity of 2, and C had -3 and 0 and changes velocity by 3. So each one of these objects is not moving, but each one had a different start value, that velocity that had a force applied and caused it to stop. So the question we're looking to answer is, which object required the most amount of force to change its velocity? And your answers are object A required more force to change its velocity, object B, or object C. Your job, thinking about our key concepts, is to ask yourself which one of these require the most force to change velocity. Take a second to put your X wherever your answer should go. Pause the video at this point to think about it, and then resume the video when you're ready to go over the answer. All right, I'm assuming you played the video, so let's go ahead and go over the answer. So if we're looking at applying our key concepts, let's look at what ones we should be focusing on. So, first key concept, how an object changes velocity depends on the direction of the force that's been exerted on that object. So each of these objects had a force exerted to cause it to stop. So how this object changes depends on the direction of the force. So all of the forces were applied against them to cause them to stop. Now, the key concept that really helps us understand and answer this question is a stronger force can cause a greater change in velocity. So the greater the force, the greater the change. So when we look at this, we have to ask ourselves, okay, where do we see the greatest change in velocity? Well, the greatest change, 1, 2, 3, would be object C. So object C would have the greater change in velocity. It would require the stronger force to cause that greater change. And if we were to go into our simulator and rewind the simulation, we would actually be able to see this. There are our forces. There's object A, B, and C. The one that had the strongest force applied was object C, 30, to create the largest change. So, did you get your answer right? Did you get your answer wrong? Fix it and reach out if you have any questions.